Kosmika. Hello, everybody. Hello. How is everyone doing? 皆様ページたちごきげんよう。元気でしょうか? Hope you had a good day yesterday. Didn't get to see you guys. Hope you had a lovely day today as well. Sorry about missing yesterday. Something came up that I had no control over, so I was very tempted to do like a casual thing in Discord, but I decided against it. Let's see. We are back with After Years. And let's see. So last time we were trying to find the Flan Princess, but the guide was wrong about where and when we should find it. Hello, I am feeling all right, thank you. It was not a health thing yesterday. It was just a logistical issue, unfortunately. But thank you for caring. Yeah, the guide was wrong about when we could find it, and what else? We can only find it on the full moon, I think. Let me look at the wiki. 5th floor of the subterranean in the southwest room. Oh yeah, and it was wrong about the location. Location and moon phase. Southwest room on the 5th floor only during a full moon. So what phase is it right now? It's a waning moon. So we have a little. Okay, let me think. Do I want to? I kind of want to just kind of wait out until the phase changes instead of like triggering it by resting and then running over there and wasting time trying to get over there. Or maybe what I can do, since it's a waning moon, it's gonna be, and then maybe for 2 phases, maybe 1 phase. Let's take it. Wait, it's a waning moon now. The next phase would be a new moon, and then the phase after that would be a waxing moon, and then it would be a full moon. So maybe we'll rest for 1 moon phase, and then during the waxing moon, we'll run over there. I think that might be the best use of time. Okay, I think I'll do that. We want to... a rest would help a lot anyway. Now I just have to remember how to get there. Okay. It is the new moon now. I could rest 1 more time and make it a waxing moon. Ooh, but it feels like a waste a little bit. Almost everyone's health is full. Oh, yeah. Everyone but Zangetsu and Brina, but that's okay. And everyone's MP is full. Not that I'm hurting for money right now, but I have a bunch of cottages. I don't need these tents actually. I'm just trying to use them up. Let me think. Maybe I will just run over there now. Because I don't remember how to get there. I'm just like kind of like, maybe it's this way. Oh, maybe it's this way. Oh yeah, it's this way. Hello, good evening. I don't remember how to get to where I need to be. Southwest room. Okay, this is B7. Should be southeast room. It's a room near the exit of the arena. Also, moon phase changes in 30 minutes real time. even if the game is paused. Text cottages resting is the best way to skip time. Text cottages. That's a lot of time. Okay, in that case, I will rest one more time. Oh, tents and cottages. Got it. I'll rest one more time, and then during the waxing moon, I'll run over there. Because who knows how long it'll take me to find my way back. Yeah, the guide said southeast room, but the wiki says southwest room, and the guide said any moon phase you can find it at this point, but the wiki says only during the full moon. So I'm not sure if I believe the guide. Mama. What's everyone's levels right now? Everyone is at least 45, I think, now at this point. Okay, where does this go? I don't remember how to get back there. Aha! Okay. Southwest room. Only during a full moon. So this room. Oh, and if it's that close, then I will just go back and rest one more time. How dare you? Ooh, Twin Rush. Because I feel like we were in that room, the southeast room, during a full moon, and the Flan Princess never showed up. Not that that means a whole lot, because it's a rare monster. Okay, full moon, yes? Yes. Okay, let's go. Stop wasting my time! I'm trying to find a flan. Oh shoot, I meant to do dance. Oh well. Critical. Some enemies with moon phase specific times can be annoying to farm when they don't drop the item because it'll take 3 tents to reset the moon. Yeah. I definitely see that happening. Okay. Alright, Flan Princess, where are you? I'm gonna pretend like there's a possible chance of finding like a glitch in the wall somewhere. Watch I find one somehow. Eh. Oh shoot. Oh, never mind. Ooh, blink. I love when it gets like paralyzed or whatever effect that they put on it. No, Izayoi. Oh no, Brina. Oh, she's 46. There's no elevator nearby, so well, actually no, doesn't matter. Since everyone's at least 45, we won't worry about swapping until people hit 47. That's not the kind of flan I want. No. Oh. No. So how's everyone doing? How's your day? Actually, so if we're doing this grinding thing, I might pull up something for us to watch like we have before, actually. If it's not gonna pop up anytime soon. It might be a while, actually. Let's see. What can we watch? Let me check the Discord after this fight. I feel like there may have been a video that we didn't get to watch that someone suggested. Ooh. 3K. Uh-oh, Doom. How do you get rid of Doom in this game, actually? Doing alright, grinding a bit in FF7 at the moment. Oh, okay. I'm forgetting, I'm sorry. Are you playing original? Were you playing original or the remake? I think you said the original? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Protect. Uh-oh. No! No, she needed to last one more turn. I'm gonna look up if there's a way to get rid of Doom in this game. Because I know in the FF14, the way you get rid of it is by healing to max. Doom. Look at the wiki. The recurring countdown death spell. That is the one. Doom, Shi no Senkoku, is also known as Death Sentence, Count, or Condemned, and is a recurring ability in the Final Fantasy series. It inflicts the Doom status. The spell animation usually features the Grim Reaper or a skull. Okay, the after years. Doom is cast by the Ahriman, the Ghost Train, and Marlboro Menace. Well, those are not the only ones. And functions similarly to the previous game. The ATB bar and its speed modifiers is now properly programmed to work in conjunction with the Doom countdown. Okay, so what is... Okay. Doom is cast by Plague Horror, 2D and 3D. Ahriman, 2D and 3D. Getting hit by Doom when already under its effect will reset the character's remaining time to the base amount, stalling the character's death. Neither haste or slow affect the countdown, and the ATB bar runs off of a completely different counter. Up to 2 enemies can be inflicted with the Doom status by design, as this spell is reflectable. In the SNES version, a character has to take a turn before the KO status is inflicted on an enemy. No mention of how to get rid of it. Okay, guess there is no way. And then how it works in every other game following. Alright. That's unfortunate. Let me get Ursula back up. Alrighty. I'm playing OG. To learn special moves, I have to have characters defeat a bunch of enemies over and over or use moves, but almost done. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a grind. Hello. Okay, well, we haven't run around as Izayoi in a while. Oh yeah, I was gonna check the Discord to see if anyone, if there were still any videos that we hadn't watched that people suggested. Let's see here. Oh yeah, here's, huh? The Purr Cat Cafe? Oh, it's one of those rabbit hole videos. Let me see. Let me take a look before actually putting it on the screen. Let me see if it's, When the owner of a new cat cafe fights criticism online, her confrontational and uncompromising attitude threatens to destroy the business before it opens. Huh. Is this appropriate? Is this family friendly? I want to make sure it's family friendly. And I don't want any harm to the animals as well. I don't see any trigger warnings in the description, so maybe not. Wait, I'm gonna watch a little bit of it first on my own. Oops, oh shoot, I didn't mean to, okay. I can't hear the video because of the game. It's drowning out the video. Maybe this is not, oh yeah, there's stuff on this. Uh-oh. Chimera. Chimera. Yeah, okay, so this, I think this, the video, it seems okay, but it's not grind friendly. So I'll see about finding something else. I think I also need to turn down the game volume. I just can't hear anything outside aside from the game. Let me see here. Let's see. Every Zelda game America never got? Oh. If I knew more about Zelda, that'd be very interesting. Pro chefs blind taste test every frozen burrito. Oh, it was one of those. Mm-hmm. 77-year-old Japanese owner's 200-kilogram cart ramen? Oh, mukbang person. Okay. Disney food marathon? Binging with Babish? Ooh! Oh my gosh. I want to watch that. I like how... Actually, I think I may have seen this before because or maybe a different video. I remember seeing a video where they recreated the porridge from Mulan, the one that Mushu makes. How it has like the eyes with the eggs and the smile with the bacon. Let me get this on screen. Let me turn down the game volume. The Ratatouille. Oh, Ratatouille is a good movie.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish. I want to thank you all very much for participating in the Reddit AMA last week. So
I was wondering why I was quiet, but then I was like, oh wait, it's Disney.
Top favorite suggestion, which was Ratatouille. Now, I've been told by some very emphatic commenters that this is not real Ratatouille. This
Dishonor
is
your family, dishonor your cow.
Which is sort of like a modern spin on Ratatouille. So we're going to start off by blanching some tomatoes for about 30 seconds until the skins start to peel, and then we're going to peel them before roasting some peppers. Yellow, orange, and red. Or just red, who cares?
Oh.
Char on all sides over an open flame until blackened. Make sure you use metal tongs, not plastic ones like me. I'm being stupid right now. Cover the hot steaming peppers with some aluminum foil and let them steam in their own steaminess for a few minutes. This will help soften the peppers and make them a little bit easier to peel, which we're going to do right now. Peel off all the black stuff and you're left with these beautiful roasted tricolor peppers, which we're going to combine in a high-powered blender with 3
Is that what they did
tomatoes,
as well? Like in France a long time ago? They roasted the
cloves,
peppers?
a few sprigs of picked thyme leaves, a quarter of a white onion,
Asuna. No one needs it though.
That we're going to pour in as the blender is running. Oh, a little bit of olive oil before I forget. Now, I don't want to discolor the mixture too much, so I'm also going to use a little bit of hot water before pressing the vegetables down into the blender and creating sort of like a
I don't actually. We don't know if that's what. Oh no.
The cool thing about high-powered blenders is that it actually cooks.
He showed the ratatouille, so maybe that's what he's making. Oh, it's probably for the sauce.
Now it's time to create those famous shingles of sliced vegetables. We need to use a very, very sharp knife on the tomatoes to create thin little slices, and then use a mandolin to make life a little bit easier with one yellow and one green squash. And then my mandolin kind of sucks. So
I've actually never had ratatouille.
Chop a little bit of fresh rosemary to sprinkle.
And I know that the way they make it in the movie is not how it looks normally.
Red pepper sauce on the bottom of a rectangle.
It's like the way he's gonna make it looks like the traditional way.
Shingling vegetables alternating in a pattern across the bottom of the dish. Now, this was my first crack, and I cut the vegetables a little bit too thick and stacked them a little bit too far apart. We'll revisit that later. For now, drizzle a little bit of olive oil across the top of the vegetables, season with salt, freshly ground pepper, and our finely chopped fresh rosemary before topping with a sheet of parchment paper that we've cut to the shape of our baking dish and placing in a 225-degree oven for about 90 minutes until it comes out looking like this. Now, this tasted really good, but for that Pixar-style plating, we need thinner vegetables stacked closer together, cooked for less time, like so. Into a ring mold, we're going to stack some vegetables vertically and then horizontally, like so. Lift it off a little bit slower than necessary for a dramatic effect. Swirl some olive oil and leftover red pepper sauce around the outside, along with some fresh picked parsley leaves. And let's see if this is good enough to save a restaurant from an evil reviewer.
Evil reviewer.
Okay, guys. First things first. Let's bring one Friday tea party. And
Is that his kid? Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Whoa, okay, what was in that ratatouille? Just vegetables, I think. Okay. Whoops, and I forgot Remy's single chive garnish over top. My bad. Hang on, let's see if I can remember what happened to my hamster when I was 5.
Oh, Bao! The Bao short.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey!
Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we're taking a look at the Bao Buns from Pixar's Bao, aka one of those rare moments I get to use a recipe directly from the source. Because director Domi Shi provided her mother's recipe for Bao, which starts with 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 3/4 of a teaspoon
Oh shoot, no, I meant to raise
tiny
Wangetsu.
whisked together before adding 500 milliliters or 2.1 cups of water to the party. We're just going to fold that together using a rubber spatula until a cohesive dough forms, at which point we're going to turn it out onto a lightly floured countertop, kneading and adding flour or water as necessary until it's not too sticky, not too dry. Then we're going to lightly oil a bowl for rising purposes, plop our dough inside, cover, and let rest for 2 hours. And please take note, this is the time during which you should make the pork filling. I didn't do this, and I will regret it for the rest of my life. Anyway, after its 2-hour rest, the dough should about double in size. Mine is still pretty sticky, so I'm going to turn it out onto a heavily floured work surface.
The Disney and Pixar shorts are Pixar shorts.
Together. And
they're
then I'm going to do
so
what she did
good.
In the short,
like,
and
they're so short. Like, well, they're obviously because they're called shorts.
The windmill
but like, they do such a good job. It's like they tell like such a deep story, and
see, this is where
they move you in such a short amount of time.
Sit out for too long, and they ended up proofing twice, so I ended up having to make
like
it all
the
over
Bao
again.
short. I'm gonna look up how long it is. But it made me cry.
So now for the filling, I'm finally chopping up a small carrot, 2 scallions, and a small head of Chinese cabbage. Then in a large bowl, I'm placing half a pound of ground pork and sautéing the other half in a little bit of vegetable oil until it's nice and golden brown. Then once it is so, I'm bringing it back to the bowl and adding it to the raw pork. I'm sure that she does this to amp up the porky flavor of our filling. Then once you've got that all combined, it's time to add our Chinese cabbage, carrot, scallions, and some flavor boosters.
Ooh,
including
is 47.
1 to 2
okay,
teaspoons of ground
maybe
ginger,
what I'll do
1
is
teaspoon of very difficult to
when the
pour
full
and
moon is
measure
over,
oyster sauce, 2 to 3 teaspoons of equally difficult to measure Chinese cooking wine, 1 teaspoon of much easier to measure toasted sesame oil, or go ahead and add more if you really know how to party.
I don't want to waste.
Let's make it 2 teaspoons of olive oil.
I don't want to waste too much time with the full. I don't want to waste the full moon though.
Powder
so.
and salt and freshly ground pepper to taste. Granted, this is kind of hard to do when you can't actually taste it, but you know, just eyeball it. Plus, we're going to add 1 beaten egg. Then, with optionally gloved hands, we're going to mix the whole affair together until homogeneous. Then it's time to take a crack at doing something that I've been dreading for a long time: filling and shaping Bao. First, we're rolling out our dough pieces to about 4 inches wide, and then dumping about a tablespoon's worth of pork filling into the center. Then we got to close it up using this complicated pleating twisting technique, which I didn't do a very good job of on my first go around. So I'll highlight how to do this later. This recipe ended up
I didn't
making
hear what
about
he said.
24 bao with plenty of leftover
I was
pork
confused
fillings,
because it
so
looked
you might
like
wanna
wheat
double
flour
the dough recipe,
instead
because
of
once they're rolled up, they freeze beautifully.
rice flour, but I guess it makes
place
sense.
these in my bamboo steamer basket and steam them for 15 minutes, and then letting them rest undisturbed for 5 minutes before even taking a peek at them. Hands off. So 20 excruciatingly hungry minutes later, we've got our bao buns. And here is where I learned another very valuable lesson. You've gotta oil the parchment paper with which you line your bamboo steamer, or else you're gonna have this happen. Your delicate dumpling wrapper is going to rip, and once again, you're gonna have to start all over. And now, after a very long day, we're gonna keep our fingers crossed and release. Nice. And now, finally, it's time to give these things a try. And I gotta say, they're really, really good. The filling is super flavorful, the wrapper is nice and chewy, but subconsciously, I had been really in the mood for char siu bao, which usually has a lighter, fluffier bun and an alien red pork filling. So why don't we take a crack at that? First, we're gonna start
that's what
by
I was
making a
expecting.
marinade
Okay,
for our
okay,
pork,
okay,
2
okay.
tablespoons
I
of
understand.
white sugar, 2 tablespoons of hoisin
It was a different
sauce,
kind of
1
bun.
tablespoon of fermented red bean paste, a tablespoon of soy
No, not
sauce, a
Delphiel.
tablespoon of Chinese cooking wine, 4 meticulously crushed cloves of garlic, and
forgot you
ideally
had
some
that
freshly
ability.
grated ginger, but I'm just going to use some dried stuff. That's all I have on hand. It'll be fine.
Strange
Mix
is not
that
good
together,
soup.
and then it's time to prep our pork. I'm going with some thick slices of pork belly that I'm going to remove the skin from,
pork
place
belly.
in a plastic parcel, and dump our marinade over top. Then we're going to refrigerate for 24 hours. Be sure to place this on a
Chashu is
plate
so
or in
good.
a glass bowl to prevent cross-contamination with other things in the fridge. It's the next day, and for the dough, we're going to measure out 300 grams of all-purpose flour, to which we're going to add 40 grams
interesting.
of white
Okay.
sugar, which is going to act
All-purpose
as
flour.
food
But I
to
guess
2
it
teaspoons of
has a
yeast.
different
And then
texture
to
when
make
you
our
steam
yeast
it.
grow up big and strong, we're going to add 185 milliliters of whole milk heated to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. And then we're dropping our dough hook into the mixture and kneading for 8 minutes.
I still believe
until
it isn't the room to
smooth,
find the
supple
flan.
ball of
There is
dough
another
forms.
enemy in this
Then we
room
are
during a
removing
waxing
the
room
dough
you can
from
fight,
and
but you
oiling up the
don't
bowl,
necessarily need the
returning
item.
dough to the bowl,
Okay.
covering and resting for 2 hours as before. And since we learned our lesson
There's
earlier,
conflicting
we're going to
information,
prep
but
our
I
pork
guess I can
filling
try
in
the other room
meantime.
during the
In a
next
small
full
bowl,
moon.
we are combining equal parts, about 2 tablespoons
Oops, I
worth
forgot
of
to use a
oyster
magic
sauce, hoisin
attack
sauce,
on the
a
flan.
heaping teaspoon of honey, maybe a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice powder, and about a tablespoon each of soy sauce, Chinese cooking wine, and fermented red bean paste. And there you have it, char siu sauce, which is kind of like a delicious Chinese barbecue sauce. Give that a little tiny whiskin, and then it's time to prep our pork. First, we're going to lightly oil
twin
a
rush.
grate,
Ooh, it's
set in
mastered.
a rimmed baking sheet. Why don't we line it with foil too? This is probably going to get pretty messy. And then how about we get this pork out onto a tray? Nice. Okay, and then we're going to divide our char siu sauce in half because we're going to use some for brushing down the pork belly and the rest for tossing with the finished meat. And now this pork is going into a 450 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 10 minutes until it just starts developing a nice char on the outside, and then we're going to flip and brush it down again, place it back in the oven for another 5 to 10 minutes until it starts charring up again, rinsing and repeating until we reach 180 degrees internal and the exterior is beautifully caramelized and nicely charred. Then we're going to let this cool until it's nice and cooled off, and then we're going to chop the belly into nice little tiny pieces, which we're going to then in turn toss with the remaining char siu sauce. Try not to eat this with a spoon like it's a bowl of cereal because it's headed into our bao, you selfish weirdo.
I would love to eat that as a, like it was a bowl of cereal.
At rolling up these baozi, as they're sometimes called. So basically, you just want to pleat the edges together like this, going all the way around until the filling is encased, and then give it a little twist to seal shut. This is how it gets that chubby little dumpling baby look. Then we are placing onto our generously oiled parchment paper inside of our bamboo steamer, steaming for 15 minutes and letting rest for 5. And there you go, some dim sum style char siu bao, which are intensely tasty. Are they better than Domi Shi's mom's bao? Absolutely not. They're totally different and both totally delicious, and I'd happily raise either of them as my own child.
Edgar, you sly old fox.
Oh, Aristocats! Wait, hold on. Let me pause. Creme de la creme a la Edgar?
Good. My compliments to the chef.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week I forgot to shoot that sort of intro walk-in shot. So
Same
we're
voice
diving
as
right
Winnie the
into it.
Pooh.
And for creme de la creme a la Edgar, we need crackers, what kind of look like Ritz crackers to me. So we're starting with 10 ounces of all-purpose flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of kosher salt, and 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar. We're just going to process that together a little bit.
I follow him on
just to let
TikTok.
those dry ingredients and leaveners
The voice
get to know
actor
each
for
other.
Winnie the
And then we're
Pooh.
adding 6 tablespoons of refrigerator cold butter. We're almost making a pie crust here, but in addition to the butter, we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil to give a little bit of that snack aisle processed goodness. Speaking of processed,
Creme
we're
de la
gonna
creme.
process this together in the food
la
processor.
Edgar.
Just pulse a few times and then let it run for about 5 seconds until everybody's nice and sandy. Then into the feed tube, we're going to slowly drizzle 2/3 of a cup of ice water while the machine's running, just until a ball of dough forms, about 10 seconds. Then we're going to take this guy out, wrap him up in plastic wrap, and let him rest in the fridge for 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, he's making the crackers,
We're not
I
being as
see.
cautious with this dough as we would a pie crust, because we don't want it to puff as much as a pie crust would puff if a pie crust could puff wood. What? Anyway, we are turning this out onto a very liberally floured work surface and rolling it out as thin as humanely possible. It helps to have one of these rolling pins with little pacifiers on the side that help you maintain an even thickness, but no matter what you're rolling with, just try to roll it out as thin as you possibly can. Then we need to utilize a fluted biscuit cutter to give our crackers that signature Ritz look. I think this one's a little bit small. I'm going to go one bigger. There we go. That's a cracker. And we're simply arranging these on a parchment-lined baking sheet that we are going to insert into a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven, but not before trying in vain to cut that little cross pattern into each individual cracker, only to give up and go for the signature Ritz 7 dots. 6 on the outside, 1 in the middle. I didn't even have to do a Google image search. Now I'm brushing these boys down with butter. These are, after all, butter crackers, and they require a great multitude of butter applications. Okay, now these guys are ready to go into that oven that I talked about for 10 to 15 minutes until they're nice and brown, but not too brown, because we're going to brush them down again one more time with butter and immediately sprinkle them with a little bit of kosher salt. I emphasize immediately because the butter dries very quickly and you need the salt to stick before it does. And with that second butter bath, we got ourselves a nice golden cracker that I gotta say tastes exactly like a Ritz. And this only took like an hour. So much easier than going to the store and spending $2 on arguably a better version. On to creme de la creme a la Edgar. I'm starting off with a pint of heavy cream, to which I'm going to add an equal part of whole milk. Then Edgar adds 5 things: vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, sugar, and sleeping pills. The last one, of course, being optional and probably illegal. Now, he used vanilla extract, but I'm gonna go with a whole bean. This is, after all, for human and not kitty consumption, so I'm going to scrape a whole vanilla bean and add it to our milky mixture, along with the pot itself for a little bit of added flavor. Now, to 4 cups of beverage, I think you're going to want to add between 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and maybe another 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg. You can use the pre-ground stuff if you want, but freshly grated really is world's better. Grab your tiny whisk and let's give this guy a stir.
I mean, obviously, anything fresh
anyway,
is better.
So he can grow up big and Whoa. Well, that's proof, kids. Drink your milk. I'm also going to add just a little pinch of salt and a generous shake of barbiturate sleeping aids, just like they would have prescribed very safely in Paris in 1910. And I gotta say, this stuff tastes real good. What we've effectively made here is hot vanilla, the slightly worse cousin of hot chocolate, but it's still real good, and I do recommend you trying it. But let's try it the way Roquefort the mouse tries it, dipping a cracker in it and taking little mouse bites. And what we're effectively doing here is dipping pie crust pieces into hot vanilla, so it's pretty good. I would probably just have one or the other, not both, but still, no complaints. However, I don't think that I'm getting the full Roquefort experience. For that, I think we need to think like a mouse, or rather make a bigger cracker, which is not exactly what a mouse would do, but just catchphrases, please.
He wants to make a scaled cracker.
Cut with
I don't blame him.
Plate as a mold. Then I was kind of stumped on how to give it the fluted edges, but then I found this ravioli cutter that worked pretty well. The fluting's kind of small, but good enough for me. Also, this is an opportunity to cut the same pattern into this cracker that we see in the movie. But other than that, same procedure. Brush the whole thing down with butter, 400-degree Fahrenheit oven for 10 to 15 minutes, rotating once during baking. I know that this is not quite to scale, but this is as big as my baking sheets would allow me. And there you have it, about as big a cracker as I've ever seen, which I'm going to again brush down with butter and hurriedly sprinkle with salt, and attempt to dip into a larger bowl of our creme de la creme a la Edgar. Again, sorry, I know it's not to scale, but I didn't want to be too wasteful. And the odds of me eating all this cracker and drinking all this milk are very extremely not going to happen. However, I will enjoy a few mouse-like nibbles before fixing myself a mug of this hot vanilla, because let me tell you, that stuff is good. Not hot chocolate good, but good.
Oh, the gray stuff! Oh, did the face change? Oh yeah, the sound is like muted. It is a waning moon.
Guys,
okay.
Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we are ringing in the new year with the storied gray stuff from Beauty and the Beast, which I thought this might have food under it. I guess we have to make it. Now, I know the folks at Disney said to their animator, Frank, just
more than the gray stuff, I've always been
Nobody
curious about that one dish
30 years later on a big TV,
that
trying to figure out what each element is. So just put some appetizers
that
on
the
there.
Beast
we don't care
and
if they
Belle
don't make sense.
eat
So anyway, over
that
here we have
in
a
that one
mystery
scene
tea sandwich.
where
I think
it's
it might
like
be some kind of
it's like
big
milk and
spread,
sugar
maybe
on like
goat
some kind of
cheese or something.
That'd be cool. Then
porridge
up here,
stuff? I'm not sure what it is exactly. I've been
been
dying to know what that is exactly. But I can never find an answer.
I have no earthly idea what this is. Again, I think Frank was just like, I'm gonna keep my head down, do my job. Michael Eisner is not gonna fire me. Not today. I have a pension to think
Like
about.
it's like that one scene where
sandwich, pretty simple. And down here, I think we've got some salmon roe.
they're both
on top of
eating
another
together at the
buckwheat
table.
blini.
It's like
Definitely
winter
not my
now.
favorite. Then we got a little roll
And
of what looks like a little strip of cheese and maybe some roasted peppers on top. And then finally, the gray stuff. Pictured
The
here twice,
beast
which has
eats
been erroneously
very messily.
reported and maliciously
And-
marketed as some kind of cookies and cream red velvet cupcake nonsense.
Hello.
But this is a tray of hors d'oeuvres. What we got here is most likely foie gras or chicken liver mousse. I'm going with the latter because I don't want people to get mad at me. So I'm patting dry about half a pound of chicken livers and then finally mincing one shallot and a little bit of fresh thyme, maybe a teaspoon
What
worth.
happened to
And then we are
sound?
headed over to
Did he
the
do that on
stovetop,
purpose?
where we are
I think he
preheating
did.
A little bit of vegetable oil over medium-high heat
I think
until
he
shimmering, adding
did
chicken
that
livers and letting sit undisturbed
effect on the
for 1 to 2
video
minutes
clip from the
until they are
movie,
nice
but
and
didn't
brown
change,
on one
didn't turn it
side.
off
Give
at
them a
this
little flip
part.
so they can start browning on the other side, and we're gonna add our shallots.
I think there was a film theory about the gray stuff, but the parks are something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have Disney World has the gray stuff.
If you have a fire
and
nearby,
I think
you
in
know, we can
the
go ahead and flame this if you like, but it doesn't really do anything for the flavor.
Is
It's
it the
kind of just for
Gaston?
show.
No, is
Now
it
that
the
livers are
Maurice's
brown on the
Tavern or
outside
something
and
like
pink on the
that?
inside, I'm going to add the zest of
Um,
half a lemon. Kill the heat, let it cool down for like 30
And
seconds.
it's
then
something
add a
different.
quarter
They
cup
just
of
it's like
heavy cream.
it's
Swirl
gray
it
and they
around a
call it
little
the
bit
gray
just to make
stuff,
sure
but
that
it's not the
everybody's
same as what they
acquainted,
have in the
and then
movie.
It's time to head over to an awaiting blender or food processor, into which we are going to deposit the contents of our
let's
pan. Then we're going to crank
find,
the blender on a medium-low speed, and one chunk
an
at a
elevator.
time add 1 1/2 sticks of unsalted butter. Yeah, that's a lot of butter, but this is also going to be a lot
It's
of
not here.
delicious. So once all the butter is added,
Okay,
we're
I'm
going to crank this
gonna-
thing on high and blend it until very, very
Find an
smooth,
elevator
and
so
then
we
we're
can
gonna
swap
pass
out
it
party
through a fine
members.
mesh strainer to catch any little bits. And there you have it, chicken liver mousse. And we need to cover it with the plastic
Chicken
wrap
liver
pressed down
mousse?
onto
Ooh,
the surface
no
of the
thank you.
mousse, because that's how this stuff becomes gray when it oxidizes. So next up, we're going to make
what
some
did I-
salmon mousse. I'm starting with
I
about
ate
3-4
something,
ounces of smoked
oh,
salmon,
wait,
to which I'm
what-
going to add
where
the
did I
juice
eat
of
it?
1/2 of 1 lemon and 4 ounces or half a bar of Neufchâtel cheese, because that feels a little bit more French and
I
appropriate,
ate
but it's
food
virtually
from a
identical to cream
restaurant
cheese, so you can just
not
go ahead
that
and
long
use cream
ago.
cheese if you want. Puree until smooth
And
mousse-like, and
there
we're
was a
gonna
little
cover
bit of
that and refrigerate
pate in
until
it,
ready
and
to
it
use
tastes. I could
Next up
taste.
are pigs
When I
and
tasted
mystery
it,
objects
I
in
was
a
like,
blanket.
oh,
I'm
I
gonna
think
go
this
with
is liver.
dates. They're similarly brown, kind of craggly, and they're a
Was
really
not
nice
a fan.
appetizer when you stuff them
Tastes
with
so
blue
metallic.
cheese. Then normally you'd wrap them in bacon.
Are we
before
grinding for
roasting, but
levels?
puff
No.
pastry's gonna be
We
a
are
nice
grinding
substitute if you wanna keep
for
it vegetarian,
rare
I guess. So
item
then it's time to
drops.
bust out the puff, roll it out a little bit on a generously floured work top, and then we're slicing them into
But,
maybe
levels
3-inch
are
long
happening
triangles,
passively.
which we can then roll around our cocktail wieners and blue cheese stuffed dates, starting at the broadside and sealing with a little bit of egg wash if
I
it's
hope
not
I'm not
sticking
going the
together.
wrong
Regardless,
way.
we are brushing everybody down with a little bit of egg wash for presentation's sake, and I'm going to sprinkle everybody with a little bit of kosher salt, both for flavor and presentation, and then we're going to roast for about 20 minutes at 375 or until browned and puffed. Next up, we got to make ourselves some buckwheat blinis in a large bowl. I'm
Wow,
combining
everyone's
75
turning
grams of
47.
all-purpose flour,
We're changing
60 grams
leveling to
of
47.
buckwheat
Yeah,
flour,
everyone
15
but
grams
Brina.
of sugar, and 5
We're gonna have to switch
grams
out
of
the whole
yeast.
party.
Just going to whisk those to combine using
That's the worst
regular-sized
grinding for
whisk,
like one
and then
item.
adding 1 cup of
Yeah,
whole milk, heated to
we have to
110 degrees Fahrenheit.
and we
The
have
warm
to
milk is gonna
find
give
a
our yeast
specific
little bit of a
monster
boost,
that
and
only
at this point, we're
spawns
gonna add a little
during
pinch of
a
salt, and
specific
then gently whisk
moon
until
phase.
smooth. Now this is
We may
basically
have been
yeasted
farming in
pancake
the
batter,
wrong
so we
room,
need to
which
let
is
it rest
probably
for an
why
hour.
we didn't come
Cover with
across
plastic
it.
wrap at room temperature so that
Oh, I
yeast
found it
can
rather
wash
quickly,
down on that
actually.
sugar. An hour later,
Okay,
and you should see that your
let me
batter has
save.
doubled in volume. And at this point, we're going to add some eggs. We're going to try to crack one, fail miserably. Ponder how we managed to make this our full-time job as we fish out all the shell fragments, add a second egg, and then lightly beat them
Let
together
me
before
swap party
pouring directly
members.
into the batter. In addition, we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Make sure it's not hot, just melted. We do not want to scramble those eggs, and then we're going to whisk until everything
Yeah,
is homogeneous, smooth, and incorporated. And
I
then
was
pour the
listening.
whole
Okay,
affair into a
the
large
like
squeeze bottle. This is
the
gonna
wiki
make
says
making
one
tiny
thing, the
pancakes
guide
a
says
lot
another,
easier. Go
chat
ahead and
says
demonstrate it
another.
on
So
your
I'm not
countertop for some
sure.
reason. Perfect. And make sure you don't overfill your bottle, or this is going to happen. It's a yeasted batter,
Okay.
and it's going to expand. Anyway, once we got that all cleaned up, it's time to make some blinis, which are essentially silver dollar
Rosa.
pancakes. And as is the case with all pancakes, the first
Cane.
batch is going to look weird. But as you make
I
batch
need
after
someone with
batch,
black
you will soon
magic.
find yourself flipping perfect panners. It's the life lesson universal to all pancakes. Never give up. Once the pancakes are done cooking about a minute on each side. I'm going to place them onto a paper towel just to cool off a bit before we serve. Now onto those little meat roll things. I think you can use pretty much any charcuterie that you want. I'm going with mortadella because it's my favorite. I know it's not French, but sorry. And then I'm going to wrap it with an ultra thin slice of Gruyere.
Yeah.
Top it with some tiny little slices of roasted red pepper and skewer with a toothpick. And there you have it. Definitely the easiest appetizer of the bunch and maybe my favorite. Whoops, shoot, where'd it go? Need to make another one. And now on to the tea sandwiches.
Oops, where did it go?
Arranging some thinly sliced cucumbers, a smear of Neuchâtel cheese, and fresh dill. Then we're slicing off the crusts and cutting it into neat little tea sandwiches. Next up, the goat cheese and fig one. I just have some goat cheese here and some fig jam. Simple enough. I think I went a little bit too heavy on the goat cheese there, but now it's time for the assembled platter. Been waiting to do this for a long time.
Pinktail isn't as bad as a grind compared to the other tails because multiple enemies that drop it appear in one fight, but it's still 0.4% each without treasure item hunting items. Okay.
Tail is old as time, and huge shocker, it's really good. Next up, we got us some salmon mousse, cucumber on a blini, and it's
that's a
pretty
good
nice.
point. I should
wouldn't
probably
order
get
in a
the
restaurant, but I'd certainly eat it.
ring.
Now we got some fig and goat cheese, and this one's pretty good. I think I went too heavy with the goat cheese, but if you went a little bit more restrained with it, you'd have a very good tea sandwich.
I never bought it because I didn't expect myself. I didn't expect to be farming for rare drops, but here we are.
Just maybe add a little bit of kosher salt during the assembly process. Mortadella roll, winner. Now I don't have to eat this salmon roe to know that I'm gonna hate it, but I am a food recreation scientist and I have an obligation. And finally, the gray stuff.
Treasure
Let's do
hunter.
a finger taste like Belle did. Really good. And it can definitely use a more robust cracker, the prettier piping, but you heard
Should I
it here,
get
folks. The
5
gray
of them?
stuff,
Does
the
that
real gray
increase the
stuff is
chances if
delicious.
you have them on everybody? Makes sense to me. Oh! I can't remember the name of that movie for some reason.
E benvenuto al Binging con Babish. E grazie mille a Google Translate. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we are once again playing with fire in the form of a simple, traditional, regional Italian recipe. Trenette al pesto is a simple enough dish, but as usual with Italian cuisine, the devil is in the details. There's Ligurian pesto, kind of basil and pine nut-based pesto with which you're probably most familiar. Plenty of ways for us to get into trouble. And then there's the trenette, which from what I can tell is a little bit wider than linguine, not quite as wide as fettuccine, but shares its flatness. Honestly, all that really matters is that you use pasta of the utmost quality. And then there's some yellow waxy potatoes and green beans. We're gonna peel and small dice the potatoes and cut the green beans down into like 1-inch segments. Then comes the pesto, for which we're gonna follow Pixar's posted recipe. 30 grams of pine nuts, 2 cloves of chopped garlic, and a pinch of coarse salt head into a mortar and pestle, where they get processed into an almost creamy paste.
There are 2 items. One increases drop rate, the other increases the chance the item drops are of rare items. I see.
Add a slightly larger mortar and pestle, but go ahead and soldier on, processing the basil leaves until they just start to break down, at which point we're going to start slowly adding some high-quality olive oil. Nothing too spicy or fruity. We want a nice mellow flavor, and we want to add 100 ml of it, one little splash at a time, while we slowly process together the pesto. This is going to help emulsify it into a creamy sauce rather than an oily mess. Another thing that's going to help emulsify it is cheese. About 2 tablespoons each, Parmigiano Reggiano and Pecorino Romano.
Yeah,
Once
there
you've
it
added
is.
all the oil and the sauce is smooth and creamy with
Rare
the
item
consistency
drop
of,
rate.
say, a heavy cream,
Maybe I
you
should do
are
this one
ready to
instead.
rock. Now you might be asking yourself, is it worth setting your forearms on fire to slowly and laboriously coax these ingredients into a sauce, or can you just throw everything in a food processor and blitz? Well, the answer is yeah, this will still yield a mighty fine pesto. But the theory is that by
it makes sense,
bruising
like
and mashing
items,
the
but
basil rather than chopping it yields a more subtle, delicate, pronounced flavor. For more, we turn, as always, to a blind Jessican taste test, which quickly and resoundingly agreed with Italian tradition. The mortar and pestle version was better. My science is flawless. Do not question it. Anyway, it's time to start finally making the damn thing. We're starting by bringing
I forget if there's a recommended ratio between the 2 items. I was wondering about that actually. Like, would be better to have like 3 people wear the rare band. You know, I'll try it. I'll try it. 2 people wearing the treasure hunter and then 3 people
cup
wearing
of
the
pasta
rare
cooking
band.
water, straining everything,
Why
and
not?
then preparing to combine with the pesto, which we're going to do in an entirely separate bowl. It is important not to heat your pesto. About the only heat you want it to experience is the residual heat from the pasta. We're going to add some of our pasta cooking water, a little splash at a time, as we toss everything together until we've achieved the correct consistency, which should be nice and creamy, both from the pesto and the pasta cooking water emulsifying together into a sauce, and from the potatoes, which should break down just a little bit and lend their starch to the situation. Once you've got this properly seasoned with kosher salt,
I didn't need
no
Leonora
freshly ground pepper in this recipe apparently, go ahead and plate it up and get ready to savor the pride and joy of maiguria, one of the most delicious and comforting dishes in the world. One that needs no improvement, but I want to see if I can get a little bit closer to the version in the movie. This, I assume, starts not with store-bought basil, but that which has been grown and freshly harvested in one's own backyard. I'm honestly not sure if this is going to make any appreciable difference, but as usual with Italian cuisine, it seems like the further you go for authenticity, the better. So we're grabbing exactly 45 leaves, or I don't know, somewhere around that. And this time we are not measuring anything. We're going to do things the Italian way by using the force. We're losing stems off our leaves.
Yeah, it's just
I got myself some legit, real deal Italian pine nuts, a beautiful head of young, freshly harvested garlic, which has a more subtle, slightly less spicy flavor than its older counterparts. By the way, you might be wondering why my nails are painted now, and the short answer is that I like the way it looks, but the thematically appropriate answer is that I got a little sea monster in me. Next up, we're busting out our real deal Italian Carrara marble mortar and wooden pestle, both the authentic choice and the much easier choice because its weight is going to help cut down on forearm utilization. I'm going to lightly toast my pine nuts by tossing them around in a dry, hot pan and allowing them to cool completely before processing them together with the garlic. And the important thing to keep in mind when processing this stuff together is not to mix or scrape, but rather to pound. This is both going to produce a smoother, more creamy result, and it's an easier, shall we say, more familiar motion. Once we've broken the pine nuts down to a sandy consistency, I'm going to chop up the garlic a little bit, add it to the mortar, and proceed to give it a solid pestlin. Once you've got that broken down to a nice, creamy, almost lumpless paste, which should take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, now's the time to start adding the basil leaves, one little handful at a time. Add a little pinch of coarse salt. This is going to help break down the basil leaves.
Rosa should be strong enough to do like a group of
cellular destruction. Once you've got everything processed down into a pretty smooth paste, now's the time to add the cheese. This time we're using a 2-to-1 ratio of Parmigiano Reggiano to Pecorino Romano. This is going to give us more of a mellow, subtler cheese flavor. Pound and process that into the sauce. We don't want big old chunks of cheese. Then once you've got that down into a nice, relatively smooth paste, it's time to add the olive oil. This time we're using real Ligurian olive oil. You definitely don't need to special order region-specific olive oil, but once again we're trying to, as accurately as possible, recreate what was enjoyed in that darling little fishing town in the Italian Riviera. Add the oil a little bit at a time, adding cheese to emulsify.
I enjoyed it.
Starts to break until you're met with a thick, creamy Italian pesto. Mine's a little bit chunky, but hey, that's the way I like it. And this time with the pasta, I'm adding stuff in stages. First, the potatoes, because they take the longest to cook. After about 5 minutes of cooking, I'm going to add the green beans. Let these guys cook for about 3 minutes before adding the pasta. That's because this time I'm using a quick cooking dried Fanart that only takes 2 minutes to cook. If you're using a more traditional dried pasta, go ahead and time things accordingly. Scoop out that pasta water, set it aside, drain the stuff, drop it straight in a large bowl along with our homemade pesto. Toss everything together with a little splash of pasta cooking water, adding more as necessary to emulsify the sauce. Take care not to over toss so you don't break down the potatoes too much. Pile it high in a bowl, be sure to top with plenty of green beans and potatoes. And this time we're not going to forget to garnish with a little bit of fresh basil. And there you have it, Renate al pesto, made with real Italian, regional, local ingredients.
Looks really good.
Was it worth the extra effort? And the answer is kinda, yeah. There's a lot more subtlety and sweetness to the olive oil and the young garlic. The freshly picked basil has a little bit more pronounced flavor. But if you really want to be authentic, you gotta eat this like a sea monster. Even if people ask you, what's wrong with you, stupido? Just laugh as you drive away.
What's wrong with you, stupido?
Have some more.
No, gracias.
Ah, tamales.
Like more tamales. See? That's what I thought you said.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we're taking a look at the tamales from Coco. Once you've got a solid 12 hours set aside to construct your tamales, we need to start by soaking the corn husks. We want to soak these in room temperature water for at least 3 hours, if not overnight. Just separate the husks a little bit and place them in a large pot. Make sure that they, that they fit Uh-oh. Time to break out the big guns, or pots. Big pots.
The big
While
pots.
those guys are soaking, we can get started on some of our fillings. I apologize for dressing down, but this was late the night before, and that's actually one of the beauties of this recipe is that you can start a day, 2 days before, and stop at virtually any point and pick it up the next day. You might recognize what I'm doing here. I'm making a pretty basic chili paste out of a couple different kinds of dried chilies, in this case guajillo and pasilla chilies, and I'm also going to add a few cloves of garlic, a few quartered tomatillos,
This is
a
gonna
good
be
squeeze
so
of
good.
lime, a good squeeze of orange juice, a couple heaping teaspoons of cumin, preferably freshly toasted and ground in a spice grinder, but it's late and I'm not trying to wake up Rashid, a good pinch of Mexican oregano, some salt, freshly ground pepper, and blitz into a smooth paste. Pretty close to what we use in our al pastor pork. Open this guy up, take in the
Yum,
beautiful
al pastor.
smells, and set aside to cool completely while we deal with our pork. We're going to go with a small pork shoulder for this recipe. Make sure that you are working with appetizing pork, very important. Clean
Oh,
the
what does
meat
that
from
mean?
the bone, cut off the skin, and cut into
I wonder what that means.
about 2-inch cubes, which we're then going to place in a large Ziploc bag
Oh,
and cover
gosh.
in our marinade. Give it a little massage and fridge this
Oh, you
for
can't
at
raise.
least 3 hours. Or you could come to the shocking realization
I
that you could just
attacked
let
the
the
wrong
pork
one.
marinate in your cooking vessel. So I'm going to place this in a foil-lined casserole that I'm going to cover and fridge for at least 3 hours, or in my case, overnight. The next day, and I'm all gussied up for dinner, and I'm going to get started on making our tamale dough. I am weighing out 560 grams of masa harina, which is a kind of instant corn flour, and adding to it 700 milliliters of very hot water, giving it a good mix with a wooden spoon until a crumbly
Effect
kind
form.
of dough forms. Set this aside and let it rest for 15 minutes while we start working with our lard. A lot of people freak out at the not that bad for you, and it's what they use in OG legit shit tamales. And I'd imagine that's what
Yeah,
the
lard is
abuela
not that
in
bad for you.
Coco
I
is
mean, like, you
making.
shouldn't
So
have it in
we are
large,
whipping 375
quantities
grams of
either.
lard for 2 minutes in a
Same-
stand mixer
same thing
until
with
it is
anything,
light
really.
and fluffy, at which point we're going to add a half teaspoon of kosher salt and a teaspoon and a half of baking powder, mixing to combine before slowly adding our soaked masa. Add maybe a third of it at a time, beating and scraping down the sides of the bowl before adding the rest.
I miss
beating
Brina
again
already.
until
It's so
a
nice having
cohesive
someone who can
mass forms,
heal
into
for
which We
free.
are going to slowly stream 1 cup of warm chicken stock, beating one more time to combine thoroughly and create our dough. Now this is
What
a
can
much
a
thicker,
Leonore
fluffier
staff
dough
do,
than most
actually?
tamale doughs, but they say if you drop a piece in cold
Oh,
water, and it
cast rays.
floats,
Oh,
you're good to go.
shucks.
And I think that all
Oh,
the air that we
shucks.
beat in
I
there
keep
is going to
forgetting
make
that I
for
can do
a
that.
lighter, less dense tamale. Anyway, speaking of which, it's time to talk fillings. We braised our pork for 3 hours at 275 degrees Fahrenheit, shredded it, and added back a little bit of the marinade. I'm also going to do some roasted poblano and cheese tamales. I roasted some poblanos straight over the flame on my stovetop, wrap them in foil, let them steam and soften up before we peel them. Now, at long last, it's tamale time. We're going to start by peeling off the carbonized exterior of our poblano peppers and cutting them into strips. I could just eat a giant bowl of these alone, but we're going to add some cheese. Oaxaca cheese, which is kind of like a Mexican mozzarella. We're going to tear the cheese into similarly sized pieces and start spackling our corn husks
Oh, wow.
with
Look at
tamale
that.
dough.
So
Just
many
spread a
drops
nice,
now.
relatively
Those things
thin,
really
even
work.
layer over the top half of the corn husk, leaving a 2-inch border on each side. Stuff with your fillings and roll together so that the two sides of the tamale dough meet in the middle. Fold up the tapered end of the corn husk, and using 2 strips of corn husks that we're going to tie together in the center, we're going to make a little tie for tamale security. Snip the long strands for a prettier presentation, and look at that perfect little package. It takes a bit of practice, but you find yourself getting into a rhythm, and it becomes second nature after your 4th or 5th try. Repeat with some of the pork and place
shoot, I
them
meant
all
to attack
standing
the
up in
chimera.
the steam basket of a large pot. Cover the tops of the tamales with a couple stray corn husks. This is going to help concentrate the heat in the steamer. Fill with an inch or 2 of water, cover, and steam for about 90 minutes. If you find that the interior of your tamales are sticking to the corn husks, just steam them for another 15 minutes. Stack them up on a large plate so they stay warm, but let them rest for 30 minutes before digging in. This is going to help them firm up a little bit. And now, a solid 8 hours of work later, it's time to finally
Wait,
dig in.
Edge
I'm
can
gonna have
heal
one
as
of
well.
each. We've got poblano and cheese and pork stuffed
remembered.
tamales, but you could really put anything you want in here. Anything you would put in a taco, I bet would work in here. I'm going to serve them with a slightly spicy, sharp, acidic salsa verde. You can check out my I
Trinity
Love You Man
Crusade.
Tacos episode for how to make that. And guess what, guys? We've got another Clean Plate Award winner. These things can be prepped in advance. They freeze great after you've cooked them. And they're perfect for your Oscar viewing party. That is, if you don't eat them all yourself.
You are perfect. Just like this.
Oh, arepas con
You're
queso.
just as special as anyone else in this family.
You just healed my hand with an arepa con queso.
I healed your hand with my love for my daughter.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week I need a quick and easy one, so we're making arepas con queso from Encanto. Now, to make
Love
arepas, you need
Encanto.
a special kind of corn flour, which for some reason when I was shooting this, I thought it'd be a good idea to illustrate. I don't know why you need to know that. We're using masarepa, a kind of pre-cooked corn flour readily available at your local grocer. First up, in a large bowl, we are combining 10 ounces of warm water, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and 10 ounces of masarepa. Adding in stages and mixing constantly with your hands to make sure that it doesn't end up dry or lumpy. Once you got yourself a relatively smooth paste, we're going to let that sit for 10 minutes, after which time the corn flour should have hydrated and it'll look exactly the same. But now we can start paying attention to its texture. We want it to be able to hold together but still be a little crumbly. If that's where it's at, we're going to add 1 ounce of soft, unsalted butter and 2.5 ounces of shredded Oaxaca or low moisture mozzarella cheese. Then we gotta knead this guy together for about 5 minutes. Since there is no gluten to develop in corn flour, I don't really know exactly what's happening here, but you should find that the dough comes together into one smeary, cohesive, not too sticky ball. Adjust with more water or masarepa as necessary until you end up with a texture that looks like this. And now it's time to form it into little corn burgers. Using thoroughly moistened hands, we're going to divide this dough into 8 equal pieces, or 6 if you want larger arepas. You can arrange these on parchment paper or just throw them down on the griddle. This is my first time making arepas, so I'm being way too fastidious and precious about it. For some reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to lay them out on parchment paper that I would then cut for easy transport over the skillet, none of which is necessary. Over on the stovetop, we've got a cast iron skillet that's been preheated over medium to medium-low heat, which we're going to plop our arepas onto after we've brushed it down with melted butter or the fat of your choice. Cooking for about 5 to 7 minutes per side over medium-low heat. These things are thick and we want them to cook through and develop a nice golden brown crust. Once cooked, scoop them off and then it's time to slice and stuff. We're going to cut the arepas about 2/3 of the way open. Once again, this is my first time doing this. Look at that little guy just exploring his universe. And once split open, we're going to stuff them with cheese. Once again, you can use Oaxaca. I'm just using slices of low moisture mozzarella. Then these guys are headed back onto the skillet where they're going to cook for 2 to 3 minutes per side over medium.
Oh, it is okay. It is just like
melted through, and all you want to
cheese
do
and bread,
in this
basically.
Ooh,
sky grinder.
Plate them up and serve them just as they are, maybe with a little sprinkle of kosher salt. Now you don't have to slowly tear them in half, but I'm a YouTuber. It's in my contract. Then all there's left to do is dig into your delicious, crunchy, cheesy, corny snack. There's only one word for it: encantadora.
There it is, Lucius kanji.
Get your clothes on, get ready, got breakfast for you. Look, you get porridge, and it's happy to see you. Hey, get out of there.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we're taking a look at the congee from Mulan, a simple porridge made from that most abundant of foodstuffs, rice. I'm sorry for the relatively simple recipe this week, but despite having a lot of fun meeting you guys at VidCon, it pushed my production schedule into the day before you're watching this very episode. But I still think we can have fun with this recipe. Let's start by making a bare bones
Come on, let's
congee.
dance
That is
together?
a ratio of 6 to 1 cups water to rice. So that's 6 cups of water to 1 cup of long grain jasmine rice that we're going to bring to a bare simmer, partially cover and cook for 1 1/2 hours until the rice is
Samba
fully
de
broken
flan.
down and
Oh my
become
gosh,
a
what's happening
thick,
here?
creamy porridge. Now, during the cooking process, you may notice that the water evaporates too quickly. If so, add more water a cup at a time until the desired consistency is reached. It should look like, well, porridge. And while its viscosity is entirely up to your preference, do not eat this without seasoning heavily with salt and pepper. Now it's time for the smiley face bacon, which I attempted to cook
you can actually do
in the
damage
shape
to
of a
them.
smile, but as you can see, they
Oh
just
my
sort of
goodness.
naturally straighten out as they cook. But when you take them off the heat and let them cool on a paper towel, this is when you can shape them to the appropriate specification. And while the bacon drains, it's time to address eggs. Now, Mushu is a very small guy, and he's serving the congee in a very small bowl, so I think that this means quail's eggs, which have a very thick inner membrane, so they can be a little tricky to crack. Just pierce them with a knife and carefully crack them open into your awaiting skillet full of bacon fat. Simply cook them sunny side up until the whites are set and the yolks are still runny, and then it's time for presentation. Let's start with a generous helping of our congee. In this, its most basic form, perhaps the blandest foodstuff known to man, so it's a good thing we've got a few bacon fat fried eggs and some bacon. And look at that, your breakfast is smiling at you. I have to admit, I'm charmed. In fact, this little guy is just so cute, I don't know if I can bring myself to
They take normal damage, but they have high HP. Okay, good to know.
And while, of course, the bacon and eggs are nice, once they're done, this is a really, really bland porridge, so we need to go back to our building blocks to make something a little bit more exciting. And we're also going to see if we can drastically cut down on our cook time by employing the use of a pressure cooker. We're going to keep the same liquid to rice ratio of 6:1, but this time we're going to use homemade chicken stock. Alternately, you can just add some chicken parts to the pressure cooker as it cooks, and you get some nice shredded chicken at the end. I'm also going to add a 1-inch knob of ginger, finely chopped, and 1 clove of garlic, finely chopped. As usual, do not season until the end of cooking. Put this guy on high pressure for 30 minutes, quick releasing the pressure and generously seasoning with salt and pepper. And now it's time to start focusing on additional congee accoutrement. What? Sorry, we're frying some thinly sliced garlic and thinly sliced shallots in a little bit of vegetable oil and draining on paper towels, slicing up some green onion, and bringing a couple other new friends to the party. As you can see, the chicken stock made for a darker brown congee. If you don't want to do that, add the chicken parts as I described earlier, or you can make a lighter colored stock by not frying your chicken parts before simmering. We got a bigger bowl, and that calls for bigger eggs. I've got 2 sunny side up eggs here, and we need a bigger bacon smile.
Dang it, we only got high potion.
Bacon much bigger.
Dang
Let's
it.
just double up. And now how about some sauteed shiitake mushroom eyebrows? That's both cute and delicious. But before he gets too cute, let's give him a little scallion beard, which to me sounds like it could be a pirate antagonist from Candyland or something. Then how about some black sesame seed pupils? That's sure to make it more realistic. And
this is the correct
creepy.
room.
Some
Confirmed.
pickled ginger ears for their anatomical correctness, and some curly, crispy shallot hair. What else does this guy need?
Full moon? Yeah.
How about a nose? Let's do a crispy fried garlic chip nose, since that's probably the smelliest ingredient. And then peanut.
He's adding a lot more to the face.
Peanut, I don't know, the guy's got peanuts in his beard. A few dots of delicious sriracha acne, and that's just about as many facial features as we can give this thing. I gotta admit, he's pretty cute, and I have much higher hopes for how good he's gonna taste. I know that Mushu uses chopsticks in the movie, but I'm gonna opt for a spoon, because congee is not very chopstick friendly, and as predicted,
you're supposed to use a
pretty
spoon with
friggin'
that.
delicious. It's a flavorful and anthropomorphic breakfast that I can really get behind, and he would definitely join the Clean Play Club if he wasn't so darn cute. I think I'm gonna call him John Bon Congee.
John Bon Congee. Oh, his soup? I couldn't use the music from the scene. Yeah. Okay, so there are still people that are level 45 in the group, so...
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we're taking a look at Remy's soup from Ratatouille, which by most metrics appears to be a potato leek soup. I think Pixar took some culinary liberties in depicting the recipe, so we're going to do what we do best here on Babish, make a super basic version, and then, like Remy, see in what ways we can improve it. First, we have to trim and clean our leeks. That means removing the roots and cutting the leek at the point where the white begins to turn to green. Then the white segments are being halved lengthwise and thoroughly washed, leeks being notorious for hiding dirt in every crevice. Submerge in some water and flip through the layers like a book to make sure that no errant granules of earth are left behind. Then we want to pat these guys dry before beginning to slice into very, very thin slices.
Very important to thoroughly wash leeks. It really is very dirty.
Zip ties. I'm doing 2 recipes, so I'm going to divvy these up in 2. It's about 3 leeks per recipe. And starting work on the other half of this self-titled album, the potato. 3 large russets peeled and chopped into half-inch
So in previous FF4, Flan Princess appears in this room when you use an item to call them. 5 of them appear, and Samba affects all party except anyone who had crystal armor. They've toned them down. That helps.
2 tablespoons of butter in a wide,
Yay, level up Holy Blade.
Wait for the foaming to subside, and then we're adding our 3 leeks worth of thinly sliced bottoms. Sauteing over medium heat for 3 to 5 minutes until sweated and beginning to soften. Hopefully you got a little bit of brown stuff forming on the bottom of the pot, which we're going to deglaze with 1 liter or 4.22 cups of vegetable stock. Bring this guy up to a simmer before adding our potatoes. 3 russets worth between 5 to 600 grams. Then here they shall cook with the stock and leeks for about 15 minutes until completely softened and effortlessly pierced by a paring knife or human teeth. Now, to be more movie accurate, you could serve the soup like this, rustic with whole chunks of vegetables in it, but to make it a vichyssoise, it must be pureed. You could do this in the pan, but that's not very smart, Andy. Let's put it in a thing. Something tall, narrow, and heat-proof. Season to taste with kosher salt and make sure that everything is entirely smooth. Then, finally, we're adding a half cup of heavy cream. Now, you might be wondering why I'm using a whisk instead of the hand blender to incorporate the cream, and I'm wondering that too. Guess you'd have to ask last week, Andy, and I don't get that guy. Be sure to taste for seasoning, and this soup can be served hot, but is traditionally served cold. So cover it up tight and fridge it for at least 4 hours or until completely not hot.
Pour it into a soup-style bowl, garnish with a little bit more heavy cream. Not my best work, but certainly not my worst. Garnish with chives for color and chiveness, and season with a little bit of freshly ground black pepper. And there you have it, the classic vichyssoise. Reportedly Julia Child's very favorite soup. So how's it taste? And the answer is very, very good, but very, very simple. As though licked off the page of the definition of potato leek soup. Certainly not as bad as linguinis, but what would Remy the rat do? First up, I think make good use of these leek greens in a homemade vegetable stock. Cutting all these guys
oh my gosh, they hit so hard!
Extremely thoroughly washing them, as the greens tend to be even dirtier. Chop these up into some slightly more manageable pieces so they fit in the pan, and give them plenty of company in the form of several essential aromatics. Of course, there's celery, and this is a great opportunity to put those celery leaves to good use. Make sure you wash those too before you add them to the pan. And carrots are a given, but I like to also add a parsnip's worth of parsnip to my stock. I've found that it adds a distinct sweetness. And despite all the oniony leeks in there, we're going to add 1 onion quartered, some fresh thyme, fresh parsley, a little bit of fresh rosemary, and a hefty fingerful of
I can't do anything, I just have to
I
watch.
I'm also going to add some halved garlic cloves. I got these giant ones. Covering everybody with cold water, popping a lid on top, and bringing to a simmer. Then partially covering and holding for at least 2 hours up to 4. After that point, there's not much more flavor to be gotten out of these vegetables. You could snack on them if you want, but they're really better as compost. Simply strain out the solids, and we're only going to need 1 liter of this vegetable stock, so make sure you freeze and save the rest. Next up, another ingredient added by Remy, garlic. But instead of just throwing whole cloves in the pot, we're going to cut the tops off 2 heads of garlic, wrap in a little bit of foil, drizzle with olive oil, sprinkle with salt, twist the aluminum foil tightly around the garlic, and place in a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven for 35 to 45 minutes, until you can plainly smell the greatness lying in wait. Retrieve from the oven without gloves so you look like a tough guy, unwrap, and behold. Now you might be thinking 2 whole heads of garlic for soup is a lot, and you're right. That's why one of these is just a snack for me. Over on the stovetop, we're starting out the same way, but I want to try and caramelize these
I haven't run around his
you
cane
can't really
in a
caramelize
long
leeks
while.
the same way that you can onions,
especially
so
as his holy dragoon
low
form.
and slow for as long as I possibly can until they've got some good color. Next door, you might be wondering why I'm bringing my potatoes to a boil in plain salted water instead of stock. Once again, I'm going to ask you to direct all your questions to last week, Andy. I seriously don't know what he's doing sometimes. It's like he has zero hindsight.
You can try bans for damage, but it'll depend on who is in berserk. Exactly.
1 cup of dry white wine, simmering over medium heat until the onions are soft and jammy and the wine has all but evaporated. This should also leave some delicious fond on the bottom of the pot that we can then deglaze with our homemade vegetable stock. Make sure you scrape up all that good stuff, adding 1 liter of stock to the pot. Then once the potatoes are nice and tender, I'm going to drain them. Then I'm going to start by only adding half the potatoes to the soup. That's because I'm going to use some to thicken the soup and the rest to give it a chunky texture like in the movie. Squeeze that head of roasted garlic in there and simmer for about 5 minutes just to let the flavors get to know each other. But they're all about to get very well acquainted in the blender, which I'm going to blitz for about 30 seconds on max speed to ensure that all the vegetables are liquefied. Now here's where you need to start making adjustments. This soup is way too thin, so I'm going to pour some of it out and add a scoop or 2 more potatoes to thicken its body before it thickens my body, and keep adjusting as necessary, making sure to season to taste with kosher salt. And I'm going to add a half teaspoon of white pepper so we don't end up with speckly soup. Now that it's nice and thick but not gunky, I'm going to return it to the pan. Then, like a rat in a fine French kitchen, start adding stuff. First the remaining potatoes so that the soup has a nice chunky vibe to it, an entire cup or 236 milliliters of heavy cream, and for a little added tang, I'm going to add 2 ounces. I should just have Rosa do blessing constantly. Which, if you can't find, you could just use gournay or cream cheese. Scoop into an awaiting pre-warmed bowl if you want to be a pro about it. Garnish once again with chives and freshly ground black pepper. And since there's so much cream already in the soup, I'm going to drizzle it with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, since you can see some beads of fat dancing across the surface of the soup in the movie. But how's it taste? And the answer is really, really good. It's everything that makes the vichyssoise great with added flavor and complexity. I think I would have loved a little freshly grated nutmeg over top, but once again, last week Andy dropped the ball. Still an unquestionable member of the Clean Plate / Bowl Club.
Oops. Wait, what? Is it still full moon? Yeah. Okay. Let's have something else. Simpsons? Okay. I don't want too much binging with Babish though. And we don't necessarily only want all food videos either. Wait, let me pause the game so the full moon phase isn't wasted. Okay. Let's let me take it off the screen actually. Boop. The Rise and Fall of Jimmy Neutron, Nickelodeon's first CG show. Was it really the first? Oh. Okay. The rise and fall? Maybe. That might be actually interesting. Kira Kira Precure a la mode. Wait, you can watch Precure on Crunchyroll now? Oh wait, I don't think that's the first season. There's this anime called Precure. It's like one of those like it's one of those magical girl shows meant for like younger kids or younger people. But like I think they're super cute and I love magical girls and I've been meaning to like look into like watching the series. But it's hard to find like the first season series thing. Anyway. Was Diddy Kong Racing actually that good? I never played it actually. The Complicated Legacy of Hook. Hated by critics, loved by kids? Wait, really? Hook is such a classic. It's like a very, very interesting like sequel retelling. Not retelling. Because I actually don't... Wait, there's something else I wanted to look up earlier. Oh yeah, the Bao short. Pixar Bao. It's only like 7 minutes long and it made me cry. Anyway, highly recommend watching that short or all the shorts. But Hook, for anyone who hasn't watched the movie Hook, it's this older movie, live action movie with Robin Williams, rest in peace, and Dustin Hoffman, who played Captain Hook. So like Robin Williams, he plays a grown-up Peter Pan. Dustin Hoffman is Captain Hook. Julia Roberts is Tinkerbell. And the actor who played Mr. Smee was well known too. I can't remember his name though. It was a very, very interesting take on like what happens to Peter Pan. What would have happened to Peter Pan if he grew up, you know? Very, very interesting. I didn't realize it was hated by critics though. I'm gonna check Wikipedia because I don't trust this video right away. You know, YouTube. Hook movie. Oh yeah, and the Dante Bosco, the voice actor for wow, why am I blanking on his name? He voices Prince Zuko in Avatar. That's like the thing he's most known for now. Before that, he's most known for that. He was also he was a kid. He was a kid actor in the Hook movie. He played a character called Rufio. He was one of the Lost Boys. That was like the thing he got really well known for when he was still younger. Anyway. Oh my gosh, wait, it was directed by Steven Spielberg? I had no idea. No wonder it was so good. Yeah, Hook is a 1991 American fantasy adventure film directed by Steven Spielberg and written by James... Okay. Bob Hoskins? Wait, maybe I don't know who that is. Oh, that's his name. Okay, yeah, it is. Okay. Bob Hoskins. He's played so many very different characters. Oh yeah, Maggie Smith. She's in it too. She plays Granny Wendy, like Wendy, but much older. Let me see. Reception. Spielberg, Williams, and Hoffman did not take salaries for Hook? Really? Their deal called for them to split 40% of TriStar Pictures' gross revenues. Oh, they were to receive $20 million from the first $50 million in gross theatrical film rentals, with TriStar keeping the next $70 million in rentals before the three resumed receiving their percentage. What a weird deal. Hook was released in North America. Anyway, critical response. Hook received mixed reviews upon release. Review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes reports that 29% of critics have given the film a positive review based on 66 reviews, with an average of 4.70 out of 10? That's so low. The site's consensus states, the look of Hook is lively indeed, but Steven Spielberg directs on autopilot here, giving too quickly to his sentimental syrupy qualities. What does that even mean? On Metacritic, the film has a 52 out of 100 rating, based on reviews from 19 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average of grade of A- on a scale of A+ to F. That's a good grade, though. A-. What the heck? Why was it so negatively reviewed by critics? What's up these critics' butts? Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times wrote, "The sad thing about the screenplay for Hook is that it's so correctly titled. This whole construction is really nothing more than a hook onto which to hang a new version of the Peter Pan story. No effort is made to involve Peter's magic in the changed world he now inhabits, and little thought has been given to Captain Hook's extraordinary persistence in wanting to revisit the events of the past." Huh? The failure in Hook is in its inability to reimagine the material, to find something new, fresh, or urgent to do with the Peter Pan myth. Lacking that, Spielberg should simply have remade the original story straight for this generation. Huh. Peter Travers, sorry, I'm like going on and on about this because I'm just fascinated. I'm going down a small rabbit hole. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone magazine felt it would only appeal to the baby boomer generation and highly criticized the sword fighting choreography. Vincent Canby of the New York Times felt the story structure was not well balanced, feeling Spielberg depended too much on art direction. Hal Hinson of the Washington Post was one of the few who gave it a positive review. Hinson elaborated on crucial themes of children, adulthood, and loss of innocence. However, he said Spielberg was stuck too much in a theme park world. John Williams' musical score was particularly praised. Oh, no, yeah, the music was so good. Spielberg's assessment. Okay. In the years since its release, Spielberg has admitted in interviews that he was not proud of the film and disappointed with the final result. Oh. In 2011, he told Entertainment Weekly, "There are parts of Hook I love. I'm really proud of my work right up through Peter being hauled off in the parachute out the window, heading for Neverland. I'm a little less proud of the Neverland sequences because I'm uncomfortable with the highly stylized world that today, of course, I would probably have done it with live-action character work inside a completely digital set. But we didn't have the technology to do it then, and my imagination only went as far as building physical sets and trying to paint trees blue and red." Oh, I see. Okay. Spielberg gave a more blunt assessment in a 2013 interview in Kermode and Mayo's film review. "I want to see Hook again because I so don't like that movie, and I'm hoping someday I'll see it again and perhaps like some of it." In 2018, Spielberg told Empire, "I felt like a fish out of water making Hook. I didn't have confidence in the script. I had confidence in the first act, and I had confidence in the epilogue. I didn't have confidence in the body of it," he added. "I didn't quite know what I was doing, and I tried to paint over my insecurity with production value," admitting, "The more insecure I felt about it, the bigger and more colorful the sets became." Interesting. Okay. Anyway. Sorry, I went on a long tangent there. Let me find something to watch. Well, that's creepy. The insane story behind Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Everyday items from the 1980s. Oh, 25 everyday items from the 1980s that Gen Z has never seen. This sounds fun.
Introducing Game Boy.
Game Boy.
It's in stereo.
Oh.
The 1980s were a unique time for technology and entertainment, filled with gadgets that have since become obsolete. From VCRs to Betamax tapes, these everyday items.
I've never seen. Oh,
defined
that's what a
generation.
Betamax tape looks like?
Can you imagine a time before streaming or digital downloads? Join us as we explore 25 everyday items from the 1980s that Gen Z has never seen.
Terrific! But suppose it's over 3 hours. Relax. Panasonic VHS tapes up to 4 hours of sports, movies, specials on one cassette.
In the 1980s,
on one
VCRs,
cassette.
video cassette recorders, became the main way people watched movies at home before DVDs and streaming services became popular. VCRs, introduced in the 1970s, let people record TV shows and watch movies rented or bought on VHS tapes. This new technology changed home entertainment.
I pressed pause, which I thought would stop the game's time, but I guess it didn't
VCRs used magnetic tape inside a plastic cassette
because, like, when I
play
press
and
the
record
pause button, or I press
video
escape
and
rather,
audio.
you can't see
The most common
it,
format was
but
VHS,
it like
which
shows
beat Betamax in the format
a resume
battle.
and quit button, and
VCRs
everything behind
allowed
that is
users to
like
play,
darkened and like not moving.
fast forward,
I guess
and
it
record.
doesn't
Over
matter.
time, the tapes would wear out, affecting picture and sound
$10
quality.
say they bring up
By the early
Laserdisc? I don't know.
2000s, DVDs replaced VHS, and streaming services made physical media nearly obsolete. VCRs revolutionized home entertainment. But what device lets people take their favorite music on the go? Let's explore the Walkman.
Sony Walkman is a tiny stereo cassette player with truly incredible sound.
The premises are so funny.
In the 1980s, Walkman became the popular portable cassette player that allowed people to listen to music wherever they went. Sony introduced the first model, the TPS L2 1979, changing how people enjoyed music. Before Walkmans, music was mostly listened to at home or in the car, but these small devices made it possible to take your favorite songs anywhere. Walkmans were lightweight and came with foam-covered headphones, which became a symbol of personal music enjoyment. They used cassette tapes that could hold up to 90 minutes of music, letting users make their playlists by recording songs from the radio or other tapes. Despite issues like needing new batteries and varying sound quality,
I think I have a weapon for
the Walkman
Get Go.
became hugely popular, influencing future portable music devices and modern streaming services.
Its advanced front-loading system is just amazing.
Sadly, no, it only affects the in-game time, not the moon phase. It's why grinding for enemies. Aha!
Betamax tapes were a video format created by Sony in 1975 that competed with VHS
wow, Sony
in
made
the
so many
1980s.
things.
They were the first successful home videotape format, allowing people to record TV shows and watch movies at home, changing how we enjoyed media. Richer quality than VHS, with a resolution of about 250 lines. However, the main downside was its shorter recording time, starting at just 1 hour, while VHS tapes could record up to 2 hours. This made VHS more popular with consumers who wanted to record longer content. Betamax lost the battle to VHS despite better quality due to higher costs and time limitations. By the mid-1980s, VHS became the leading format, and Betamax eventually disappeared, with Sony stopping production in 2002.
Okay. So we have the Holy Lance, a bunch of adamant armor pieces I'm holding on to. I think someone is already wearing the rose twine dress.
This camera sends out
in the 1980s, Polaroid cameras became a popular way to take photos and see them immediately.
Wait, I forgot
the
to give
Polaroid camera,
I forgot
Land Model
to get
95,
all the
was
rare
introduced
band
by
and treasure
Edwin
hunter
H.
stuff.
Land in 1948 and changed how people thought about photography. Unlike traditional film cameras, which needed film to be developed in a darkroom, Polaroid cameras allowed users to see their photos within minutes. These cameras used special film to produce the photo right after the picture was taken. The chemicals in the film reacted to light, creating an image in about 60 seconds.
Who is here again? Oh, yeah,
the design of Polaroid cameras, with their boxy shape and colorful rainbow stripe, became a well-known symbol of the 1980s. Making photography easier and more enjoyable for everyone at parties, family events, and vacations. Polaroid cameras redefined instant photography.
Treasure Hunter is not a good
what
one.
About devices that brought efficiency to printing?
I don't know.
Let's explore the era of dot matrix printers.
Dot matrix printers
Holy
just
lands.
don't fly anymore. After all, they're noisy. And
Dot matrix printers were common in the 1980s, and they were known for their loud noise and unique dot-based printing method. Unlike modern inkjet or laser printers, these printers used a print head that moved back and forth across the paper, striking an ink-soaked ribbon to create
I've seen
characters
those
and images with
like
tiny
before
dots.
somewhere.
Though their printing was not as smooth as today's methods, it was very
The sound is kind of fun to listen to, actually.
Introduced in the early
They say
1970s,
they did,
these printers
some
became
people did
popular
find them loud,
because
though.
they were affordable and efficient. The Centronics 101 was the first successful model, setting the standard. Businesses valued these printers' ability to print on multi-part forms, making them perfect for carbon copies. Despite their noise, dot matrix printers were durable.
Actually,
and
yeah, they were pretty
reliable,
noisy. I actually
lasting
enjoyed
many
the sound, though.
years.
They give total performance in every environment. Cold, heat, and grind. Available in all sizes. Maxell's RD series.
Floppy disks were commonly stored and transferred data before USB drives became popular. They were first introduced in the 1970s and gained popularity in the 1980s and 1990s. There were two main sizes, the 5.25-inch and the 3.5-inch discs. The 5.25-inch floppy, introduced in 1906, was flexible and could hold up to 1.2 megabytes of data.
Only
It was widely
1.2.
used in early personal computers and word processors. The 3.5-inch floppy, introduced in 1982, had a more durable plastic case and could hold up to 1.44 megabytes of data.
Maybe I'll have
making it
4
more popular.
people where
These discs were used to share
rare
software,
band and then one
transfer
person with the
files,
treasure
and
hunter.
backup data.
We'll try that.
They were read and written by a floppy disk drive.
Keep doing this menu for some
Despite their
reason.
popularity, floppy disks had a small storage capacity and could be damaged by dust or magnets. By the late 1990s, they were replaced by CDs, DVDs, and USB drives, which offered better storage and reliability.
Here's how it looks for today. Motorola has made it easier to stay directly in touch with those important to you.
Mom, we got a better idea. I've got to we'll page you.
Pagers, also called beepers, were small devices that let people
And then have
receive
him know the
text
treasure hunter
messages
one.
before cell phones became common. They were invented in the 1940s and became popular in the 1980s and
I think I just have
1990s.
the...
People would clip
Okay, I gave the
pagers
Holy
to their
Lands to
belts or
Kane.
keep them in their pockets, and
So
they
I just
would
have the
beep
adamant gear,
or
which I'm holding
vibrate
on
when
to.
a message was
Gonna
received.
give it to
Pagers work by
whoever
receiving radio signals sent by a central transmitter.
in the
When someone wanted to reach you, they would call a
last
pager
fight, I
number
guess.
and leave a numeric or alphanumeric message. The pager would display the message on a small screen. Since pagers could only receive messages, users had to find a payphone or landline to reply, making them less convenient than modern communication methods.
What?
CRT televisions, or cathode ray tube TVs, were large and heavy tube televisions common in many living rooms. These TVs used a vacuum tube with electron guns to show pictures on a glowing screen. The technology behind CRTs started in the late 1800s, but
Oh, do they
became
have a
very
band? I
popular in the
wonder.
middle of the 20th century. CRT TVs were known for their bright colors and dependable performance, which made them the center of home entertainment. They came in different sizes, but even the smaller ones were heavy compared to modern flat-screen TVs. The screens were curved, and the larger the TV, the deeper the tube. As technology improved, CRTs were replaced by lighter, thinner, and more energy-efficient flat-screen TVs, like LCD and LED models. CRT TVs revolutionized home entertainment. But speaking of innovations, what toy became a must-have for kids in the 80s?
What's that?
Let's explore the rise of Speak and Spell.
Spelling with Texas Instruments Speak and Spell.
Kestasuna. Okay. Oh, that's really nice.
The Speak and Spell was an educational toy created to help children improve their spelling through interactive games. Introduced by Texas Instruments in 1978, it was among the earliest handheld electronic devices to feature a visual display and replaceable game
Texas
cartridges.
Instruments, don't they make calculators?
The toy used a TMC0 or 280 linear predictive coding speech synthesizer to pronounce words and phrases.
Wow.
Its bright orange design and simple keyboard made it appealing and easy for kids to use.
Oh, there she leveled.
The toy included spelling games like Mystery Word and Secret Code, encouraging children to spell correctly. It offered immediate responses, praising correct answers and gently motivating kids to try again when they made mistakes, creating a dynamic learning experience.
The color with the U is correct.
The Atari 2600 was a highly popular home gaming console in the 1980s.
The what?
Released in 1977 by Atari Inc. It was initially called the Atari Video Computer System, before changing its name in 1982.
They do have
This
a
console
band.
was groundbreaking for its time, using interchangeable game cartridges, which was a big step forward compared to older systems with built-in games. The Atari 2600 had an 8-bit microprocessor and 128 bytes of RAM.
Where do you put the cartridge?
It came with 2 joystick controllers and a set of paddle controllers for different types of games. Iconic titles like Space Invaders, Pac-Man, and Pitfall became household names. Despite facing setbacks like the 1983 video game crash, the Atari 2600 remains an important part of gaming history.
Between ordinary stereo with 2 separate channels of sound and Panasonic ambient sound. Ambient sound gives you rich, full-dimensional sound that's all around you.
Ghetto blasters, also called boomboxes, were large portable cassette tape players with big speakers that became popular in the 1980s. These devices were iconic in hip-hop culture, as they were seen carried by teenagers in cities. Ghetto blasters were first introduced in the late 1970s, allowing people to take their music and enjoy loud sound and deep bass. The first boombox, the Norelco 22RL962, was made by Philips in 1966. In the 1980s,
I'm not gonna roll that back.
blasters gained
We heard
widespread
it.
popularity. They featured AM/FM radio, 2 cassette decks for playing and recording music,
I got another
and
Rose
powerful
Twine dress.
Powered by batteries, they were portable,
I don't think it'll be
but
any
their
good
size
for
and
these,
weight made them hard to carry
members,
around
though.
without effort.
Oh, not actually? So she doesn't really use magic. Actually, it might be good for her.
The Zapper guns were light guns used for
definitely
shooting
not for
games on the
Podom.
Nintendo Entertainment System, NNES.
Oh, but it reduces her
Released in North
spirit, which I
America
don't want.
in 1985, the NNS Zapper became a well-known accessory for the console. It allowed players to aim at the TV screen and shoot at targets in games, offering a more interactive gaming experience.
Oh, I've tried
The
that
original
before. It's pretty
design
fun.
of the Zapper resembled
Hard to
a
get accurate,
revolver.
though.
Still, it was later redesigned to look like a futuristic ray gun with a bright orange color to make it different from real
Yeah, that's the one I've
firearms.
tried.
The Zapper detected light from the screen when the trigger was pulled. Popular games like Duck Hunt,
Yeah, that's the
Hogan's
game,
Alley,
Duck Hunt.
and Wild Gunman were some of the well-loved titles that
What are
used the
those?
Zapper.
Yeah, you're the first serious gamer I've seen all morning. Check this out. Brand new 16-bit Super Nintendo with Super Mario World. Wow!
The Sega Genesis, also called the Mega Drive outside North America, was a popular video game console that helped lead the 16-bit gaming era. Released in Japan in 1988 and in North America in 1989, it was Sega's third console and the successor to the
I'm gonna pray all
Master
the time.
System. The Genesis quickly became known for its strong graphics, sound, and large collection of games. It was powered by a Motorola 68000 processor.
Apparently, the
and
Sega
a
Genesis was really
Zilog
expensive
Z80
at
sound controller,
at the
making
time.
gameplay smooth and vibrant audio.
I had no idea.
The console offered many games, from fast-paced action games like Sonic the Hedgehog to sports games like Madden NFL. Its success was helped by effective marketing, with the slogan, "Genesis does what Nintendo doesn't," emphasizing its advantages over Nintendo. The Sega Genesis revolutionized gaming, but what about a fashion trend that brought glitter and color to the 80s? Let's explore jelly shoes.
Juicy summer jellies. Preschool girls just $29.99.
Jelly shoes, also called jellies, were colorful rubber sandals that became very popular in the 1980s. They were made from PVC plastic and were known for their bright colors and glittery designs. The name jelly shoes came from their jelly-like look and feel. They were first created by the French company Jelly Shoes, started by Tony Alano and
I didn't
Nicolas
know they were
Guillon
originally made
in
by
1980.
French company.
These shoes were lightweight, waterproof, and affordable, which made them a favorite among children and teenagers. They came in different styles, including sandals, flats, and boots. Jelly shoes were versatile, perfect for the beach, the pool, or casual everyday wear. Despite their simple design, they were seen as stylish and were popular with trendsetters and celebrities.
Why did they talk about that? Oh, just kidding. That's right. I forgot for a second. I thought we were only watching a video about video game stuff because they talked so much about that.
Were cute and a little creepy, stuffed dolls with unique faces that became one of the most wanted toys of the 1980s.
They're ugly.
Created by Xavier Roberts in 1978, they were originally called Little People and sold at craft fairs. Each doll had its name and birth certificate, making them feel special and personalized. In 1982, Coleco took over the rights to make the dolls in large quantities and renamed them Cabbage Patch Kids. The dolls had soft bodies and plastic heads, known for their round faces and big eyes. They quickly became a cultural sensation, with parents rushing to buy them for their children. This led to huge demand and even store riots during the holiday season.
Oh, like Black Friday?
Let you turn things on or off from anywhere in the room.
The clapper was a sound-activated electrical switch introduced in 1984 by Joseph Enterprises Inc. and marketed by Joe Padot. It allowed users to clap their hands to control appliances like lamps and TVs. The device was plugged into a regular electrical outlet and could control up to 2 devices, each activated by a different clap pattern. The clapper became famous for its catchy slogan, "Clap on, clap off, the clapper," which was featured in TV commercials. It offered a convenient way for people to turn on lights or appliances without getting up from their seats. The device also had a security feature that turned on a light at any sound, helping to scare off potential intruders.
Does it feel like the place, Simon? You gotta look! Listen!
Simon was an electronic memory game that became very popular in the 1980s. It was created by Ralph H. Baer and Howard J. Morrison, and first released by Milton Bradley in 1978.
Oh!
The game had a round, colorful device with 4 large buttons that lit up and played different sounds. The goal was for players to repeat increasingly difficult sequences of lights and sounds. Inspired by an earlier Atari arcade game called Touch Me, Simon improved the original concept by using more pleasant sounds and a better design. The game became a big hit, especially around the holidays, and was a common item on children's wish lists. Its success was helped by a special launch event at Studio 54 in New York City.
Whoa.
Right, pay attention, Bond. This is the Sinclair ZX Spectrum Plus 2. It's a fully operational...
The ZX Spectrum was a popular 8-bit home computer that Bautiha became well known in the 1980s.
What is that?
Created by Sinclair Research and released in the United Kingdom on April 23, 1982, it was designed by Sir Clive Sinclair. The Spectrum was praised for its small
computer
size,
that's only a
rubber
keyboard? I'm confused.
and colorful graphics, greatly improving over its predecessor,
you hook it up
the
to your TV,
ZX81.
or?
It featured a Z80A processor running at 3.5 megahertz and had models with 16 kilobytes or 48 kilobytes of memory. The computer is connected to a television for display, and audio cassette tapes are used to load and save programs. The ZX Spectrum's low cost and versatility made it a favorite among families and enthusiasts. playing a major role in the growth of home computing and video games. The ZX Spectrum revolutionized home computing, but what other 1980s gadget combined style and function like never before? Let's explore.
Great cards for Casio. Would you rather have a calculator or a watch? With
What?
a Casio calculator watch, you have both.
Wow, what?
The Casio calculator
What kind of
watch
question
was a
is that?
popular
Would you
gadget
rather
in
have
the
a calculator or a
1980s,
watch?
combining a digital watch with a built-in calculator. Released by Casio in
Oh.
1980, these watches became famous for their practicality and futuristic look. The watch had a small keypad on the face, allowing users to do basic math like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division.
Uh-oh.
One of the most well-known models was the Casio Databank series. It included a calculator and featured a calendar, alarm, and phone book. Its stylish design and multiple functions made it a favorite among students,
Oh wait,
professionals,
her staff can use
and
Asuna. I'll do it in the next
technology
fight.
lovers. The calculator watch was especially useful for quick calculations while on the go, making it an essential tool for everyday tasks.
Only possible. All the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy.
Game Boy.
It's portable. It's in stereo.
The Game Boy was a groundbreaking portable video game console introduced by Nintendo in 1989. Designed by Gunpei Yokoi, it became a cultural symbol of the 1990s. The Game Boy featured an 8-bit processor and a monochrome screen that displayed games in 4 shades of gray. Despite its basic graphics, the console gained immense popularity due to its affordable price, long-lasting battery,
you could play Super
and
Mario World
various
on it?
games. A standout feature of the Game Boy was its ability to use interchangeable cartridges, which made switching games easy.
She didn't get a turn.
When it launched, it included the popular puzzle game Tetris, which helped the console succeed.
Harry has access to over 1 million words, all stored in its microchip memory. That's
What is
enough
that?
words to fill one side of over 4,000 sheets of fully printed A4 paper.
Digital dictionaries, also known as electronic dictionaries, gained popularity in the 1980s as technology advanced. These devices let users quickly look up words and their meanings without needing a large book. Early digital dictionaries were small handheld gadgets with screens and keyboards, similar to tiny laptops. They gave instant access to various information, such as definitions, synonyms, and translations. One of the first was the Seiko Electronic Dictionary, introduced in the
Those
early
were very,
1980s.
very good for like
It had a
when you're
simple
studying
design and
Japanese.
limited vocabulary, but it was a groundbreaking product.
Back in the day.
As technology progressed, companies like Casio
Before, you
and
know,
Sharp
smartphones
created
became
more
a thing.
advanced models with bigger word lists and features like
And you could go on the internet on
pronunciation
those, and you
help
could just use your
and
phone.
grammar advice. These dictionaries were popular with students and travelers.
My
but
first Game
eventually
Boy
lost
was
out
the
to
Game Boy
software
Color with Pikachu
applications
on it,
and
but I got the
online
OG Game
dictionaries
Boy from a
that
yard
offered
sale
even
and
more
fell in love with it.
features.
The 4 batteries it needed was a bit much. That's so cool. I would love to get like an OG Game Boy just for like, just to have.
Answering
it's like a big
machines
brick.
were important household items in the 1980s because they allowed people to receive messages when they couldn't pick up the phone. While the idea started in the early 20th century, it wasn't until the 1970s and 1980s that they became affordable and widely available. These machines used magnetic tape to record messages that could be later played. The first popular answering machine, called the electronic secretary, was introduced in 1949. By the 1980s, machines like the PhoneMate 400, which could store up to 20 messages, became well known. These devices had a speaker, a microphone for recording messages, and a tape deck for storing incoming messages. Some models allowed users to change their greetings and even check messages remotely from another phone.
Make a healthy treat. Presto Pop Light Hot Air Corn Popper. It pops with hot air, not oil, for low-fat treatment.
Air poppers became a
So
popular
is this like an
kitchen
old
tool in the
school
1980s,
like air fryer?
changing how people made popcorn at home. These devices, introduced in the late 1970s, used hot air to pop the kernels without needing oil, making popcorn a healthier snack. The Presto Popcorn Pumper, released in 1978, was one of the first air poppers sold. The air popper worked by blowing hot air through the kernels, causing them to pop and shoot fluffy popcorn into a bowl. This method was quicker, easier, and
who buys like
than
popcorn?
oil on
I guess back in those
air
times,
poppers quickly
it's more
became a
common to
favorite
buy
in
the
many
popcorn
households,
kernels.
especially for family movie
Oh, cute!
nights.
It's a dog.
They offered a simple and more nutritious alternative to traditional popcorn making methods. Air poppers revolutionized snack time, but what other 1980s device transformed home entertainment forever? Let's explore the rise of cable boxes. Cable boxes became an essential part of television in the 1980s, changing how people accessed entertainment. First introduced in the 1970s, these devices expanded channel options beyond the few available on broadcast TV. By decoding cable signals, they allowed users to watch various specialized channels, including sports, movies, and news. Early models were large and typically placed on top of the television. They featured dials or buttons for channel selection. Some even included a wired remote control. The arrival of cable boxes marked a major change in home
Remote controls used to be
entertainment,
wired?
giving viewers more choices and the ability to explore programming tailored to their interests, paving the way for a new era of television.
Put the letter in here, and the letter goes round and round. Whoa, and it comes out here.
In the 1980s, fax machines became essential
They had a
tools
jingle for fax
homes and
machines?
offices, allowing people to send and receive documents through telephone. The technology behind faxing dates back to 1843, when Scottish inventor Alexander Bain created the first device to transmit images. By the 1970s and 1980s, fax machines were widely used in businesses and homes. A fax machine scans a document and converts it into electrical signals, which travel through phone lines to another fax machine. The receiving machine decodes the signals and prints a copy of the original document. Early models used thermal paper, but later designs shifted to plain paper, making fax machines more affordable and convenient for everyday use in professional
Japan still
and
uses fax
personal
machines,
settings.
believe it or not. Not every company, obviously, but... Alright, let's get this off the screen, because we're gonna wrap up soon. We're just gonna do some pure grinding, or farming, I guess. Let me turn the volume back up. There we go. But yeah, there are still like offices and companies in Japan that still use fax machines to this day. Obviously not like those old school ones from the 80s, but like newer ones that they would have used in the 90s, but that's still a long time coming. Or rather, like, a long time to be using them. Fax machines are also a lot safer to send important documents, apparently. Yeah, that makes sense, because the fax machine doesn't really store the data. And if they do, not for very long. And there's only so much data those fax machines can store. And they're not very, like, unless it's a smart fax machine, I guess. Not as easy to like hack into, because everything is like through the phone line. Look at my room gets so warm. Is it still a full moon? It is, okay. No, leave him alone. Yay. Oh no. Oh no. Wait, use stuff. I mean mace. Wait, just kidding, that's Asuna. I mixed it up with roses. Or, yeah, roses. I just got him up. I'm gonna have to... I'm okay still, but I'm gonna have to get more potions in the near future. What? Oh. I think they're all 46 now. Yeah. I think there are only a few, or actually maybe less than three or less party members that are 45 now. It won't be long before they're all level 50. Which would be nice, actually. I hate the Chimera. Wait, shoot, I'm attacking the wrong character. Oh, I mean, enemy. It's okay. Just use magic. Ooh, Soma Drop and Ether. Forgot what Soma Drop does. Final Fantasy 14 got an update last night, so and got new content added to it, which I'm excited about. So everyone's out doing that in the game now. Well, aside from a friend of mine who they've been they recently started 7 remake because they wanted to get that done before the end of the year. It's one of their goals, and even though they're very they very much love FF14. They also like to work on their. They also like to set goals for themselves and work on them. Actually, work on them. Because it's RNG, some grinds can take multiple moon trips. Even if you run away from all the other enemies except who are you hunting for. Yeah. I'm expecting that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. If this tail hunting process takes way too long, maybe I'll consider doing like dropping it and just progressing the story. We'll see. Cause I know we had to spend several streams, or like more than a week of streams to level just so we can survive on the moon. And I know that wasn't the most interesting time, so I was planning to wrap up, but maybe I should just keep going until the face changes, actually. Oh! Oh. Uh-oh. Oh gosh. Oh, I just got her up. Stop it. Ay. Stop it! Oh my gosh, I'm gonna wipe out. Hold on. Nah! Are you freaking kidding me? Didn't even get anything. You know what? That's it. Yeah, I did, but I definitely did. Especially out, I guess. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this phase is gonna end soon. We're just gonna save and end here. Alright. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. We're gonna do more of this tomorrow. We'll see how I feel about how long this takes. If I'm just not lucky, maybe I'll give up on the tail hunting. I don't know. Because it's not super necessary to finish the game. It's just would be nice to have those items because that you can get with the tails, because supposedly they're very good, and it'd be nice to have for the final boss. So we'll see. But yes, thank you all so much again for joining me today. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the stream. Please leave a comment if you would like to share your thoughts. Please subscribe on YouTube and or follow on Twitch if you would like to see more Final Fantasy streams. We'll continue this tomorrow. Yeah. And if you're going to bed, I hope you rest well and have sweet dreams. If your day's just getting started, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you all again tomorrow. Again, it's a low drop. Green dragons drop a better. Yeah, right. Yeah. It is, yeah. Alright, ta-ta. Kosmika.